Krishna says here is the law of nature. Nature just is. Nature just acts as per these four cosmic principles. Nature does not think about end results, successes or failures, rewards or punishments. People ask me, Swamiji, why is nature so cruel? Why are there natural disasters? Why do young children die? The answer is what Krishna gives here. Nature goes about its job without any thought about what the end result will be. What happens will happen. It is bound to happen. Nature follows its dharma, its path of righteousness. The problem is that we do not understand the laws of nature. We measure natural actions by our yardstick of logic. You will then ask me, how do we know what to do? How do we know what is Swadharma, our path of righteousness? Do we decide we are a Kshatriya, therefore we should fight and kill and not worry about who dies? Or we decide we are a Vaishya, a businessman, in which case our Swadharma is to make money without worrying about how we make money? No, Krishna is not talking about acting in selfishness. The universal master is talking about acting from the space of completion. He says, be centered and complete in yoga and drop all attachment to results. Do what you have to do. Maheshaya?
योगास्था कुरु कर्माणि संगं त्यक्त्वा धनञ्जय सिद्ध्य सिद्ध्यौ समो भुक्त्वा समत्वं योग उच्यते.
What beautiful wisdom. Yoga is union of man and divine. Yoga is completion with the divine. Yoga is your realization of your own self, your realization that you are divine. It is the state of completion, the state of truth, the state of the present, when all that you do will be in righteous consciousness, dharma. When you perform with this completion and with no expectation, you will do what is right and just. Suffering happens when we link thoughts. Our thoughts are unconnected, illogical, and unpredictable. It is only when we link thoughts together that problems start and suffering happens. We remember a few out of hundreds of events and try to create a link between these few. 90% of what we cognize and experience is never recorded by our conscious memory. It just slips into our unconscious. Within the 10% of what we retain, what stays in our memory is always that which falls outside the pattern. If it is part of a normal pattern, we will almost always ignore and forget the event. So do not link thoughts and create a shaft of thoughts. Unclutch from your thoughts by bringing integrity and weed out all your negative self-fulfilling patterns, and automatically the mind will drop. This is the way to stay in the present. Some of you misunderstand the word unclutched as not to do anything. You think that to drop the mind is to be passive, inactive, doing nothing. No, not at all. You can be doing nothing and yet occupy your mind fully. That is what they mean by saying that an idle mind is the devil's workshop. When you have nothing to do, what you end up doing is creating fantasies. Listen, constantly listening to your own inner space is the beginning of integrity. If your inner space says that there's nothing more to listen, if only silence is there, then that is the end of integrity. You have achieved integrity. As long as you are hearing something from your inner space, it is lack of integrity. Go on listening, even while you are in action, karma, sitting, driving, talking, or walking. Listen to you. In action, akarma is not what is advised. Understand, when you experience integrity and your mind drops, when thoughts cease and your energy level is high, you cannot be inactive. You will act spontaneously out of sheer necessity. Physical and mental idleness are never produced by a no-thought mind or inner space. One must not link idleness with calmness. One with a no-thought mind, one who is complete in yoga, dwells in peace, calmness, and harmony, the space of restful awareness, but is always aware and alert to act spontaneously in the way that would best suit each situation in every moment. With a no-thought mind comes great awareness and energy. Idleness or lethargy is far from it. An incomplete, confused, restless, and overworked mind is constantly occupied with chatter and fantasies that can result in apathy and idleness. Integrity is the basic requirement for unclutching. When you are in a state of an unclutched inner space, you are in completion and you are in the present moment, where regrets of your past and expectations of the future are absent from your mind. Whatever you do in such a state of completion would be the right thing to do. You are not influenced either by fear or greed regarding the outcome. You do what you have to do naturally. That is why Krishna says that you must act with responsibility in the present moment of completion. He says, do not get attached to the results of your action, nor get attached to inaction, thinking that it could be an easy way out of this problem. Now we go to slokas 2.49 to 2.53. The chapter is Be Steady with Authenticity in Action. 2.49. O Dhananjaya, beyond the action with selfish motive is yoga of action. In wisdom, buddhi yoga. Wretched are those whose motive is the fruit. Outcome, surrender yourself fully to the wisdom of completion. Endowed with the wisdom of evenness of mind, move away from both good and evil deeds in this life. Therefore, devote yourself to yoga. Authenticity in action is yoga. The wise, having abandoned the outcome of their actions and possessed of knowledge of completion, are freed from the cycle of birth and death. They go to the state that is beyond all sorrow. When your wisdom takes you beyond the delusion, you shall be indifferent to all what has been heard and what is yet to be heard. When you are not confused but by what you have heard, and your wisdom stands steady and unmoving in the self, you shall attain yoga, self-realization. Krishna emphasizes what he has said before and ends with a punchline. He says, act without attachment. Do not worry about success or failure in results. Center yourself in wisdom of completion that takes you beyond action and the desire for fruits of action. Once you are centered in wisdom of completion, you will act wisely. Once you give up attachment to results, you will be freed from the cycle of birth and death, and you will be beyond sorrow. In the next verse, Krishna begins initiating Arjuna into yoga with the second tattva of authenticity or Shraddha. Krishna is the greatest strategist of life. Here, he begins revealing the truth of authenticity, the strategy of life, the strategy that will make Arjuna succeed and expand. Krishna declares, Yoga karmasu kausalam. Please understand. I first want you to understand these words, Yoga karmasu kausalam. Yoga is authenticity in action, not just perfection in action, but I'm translating it as authenticity in action.
Buddhi yukto jahatiha ubhe sukrita duskrute tasmat yogaya yujjasva yoga karmasu kaushalam.
Let me define authenticity. Authenticity is you being established in the peak of your energy, the peak of your capability, and responding to life from who you perceive yourself to be for you, and who you project yourself to be for others, and what others expect you to be for them. Authenticity in your thinking means raising you to the peak, raising you again and again, higher and higher, expanding you more and more. Listen, the moment I say expanding you more and more continuously, do you feel, oh God, then it is unending process. I will never be able to rest at all. If you cherish this idea in you, then you are death oriented. You are entertaining death in your heart. The idea you entertain in your life invites different happenings of life. So don't blame if you get any killer disease in your life because you invited them. Understand. First thing you need to do is break that pattern. Krishna gives the ultimate winning strategy of life to Arjuna to stand up with the courage of authenticity in all his actions. Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam. He urges Arjuna to devote himself to yoga.
बुद्धौ
Mahesh.
बुद्धौ योगात् धनञ्जय बुद्धौ शरणमन्विच्छ.
To bring authenticity in his action, to expand himself to the peak of his energy. Arjuna can complete his root pattern of fear only when he raises and expands himself, fighting as a Kshatriya warrior. Only then Arjuna will be authentic. The state of fear can be born in you only when you are inauthentic. Listen, every time inauthenticity is allowed in you, it leaves a powerful fear in you. Arjuna's inauthenticity in not raising himself to his responsibility and to others' expectation of him as a warrior led him to be death oriented and collapse with fear. Listen, life is expansion. Life is expansion. When you feel, wow, I'm going to expand, 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 authenticity is the best principle. Then understand you are entering into Akshardham, eternal life. Break the pattern of, am I never going to rest or what? Why do you need rest? Increasing the speed of running is rest. Make it into flying. That is rest. You see, when you drive or run on the road, there is friction. If you want bliss, joy, peace, don't reduce the speed of life, reduce the friction. Just take off. Your body, mind, inner space, consciousness, whatever you feel about you, go on expanding, expanding, expanding. That is the only way life can continue to ooze in you, overflow in you. If you say, no, I can expand. Now I do 2 hours of work, which I will make into 4 hours, not more than that. Then I will rest. No, make it into 24 hours and few more minutes and penetrate into time. Whenever you need more time to do more work, stop the time, complete the work, and allow time to move. You can do. Listen, something has to grow in your body, either life or death. Life has no pause button. Either life has to grow in your body or death has to grow in your body. The inauthenticity which you entertain is death for you. Power of authenticity, I tell you, my strategy for life is everything should only be from authenticity. Authenticity is my strategy plan. Pick up authenticity as your strategy plan in every moment of your life, whether it is to do with health, creativity, solving relationship problems, creating wealth, or achieving inner fulfillment. Have authenticity as your strategy plan. Krishna then adds, when you are centered in wisdom of completion, you will no longer be deluded by what you hear. When you are no longer deluded by what you have heard, you are liberated. Krishna's immediate reference here is to the scriptures, the Vedas. He chides Arjuna and says, don't be confused by what you hear, even if it's supposed to be divine knowledge, the Vedas. Remember, if you are really centered in wisdom, you can never be deluded. You will be in completion. Vedic scriptures are not dead knowledge that is a burden upon us to abide by. the Vedic scriptures, the Shruti, divine in origin, and the Smriti, rules and regulations laid down later by Manu and other sages, make no such claims. They are the living guidelines that lead us into wisdom and liberation. In fact, Hindu scriptures have both the humility and the power to challenge us to transform ourselves according to the need of the day, but stipulate that we first experience what is said. So Krishna says, let the Vedas say what they want, but put what you hear, see, and read to the test of wisdom to go beyond delusion. Krishna is the Vedas, the source of all knowledge. He himself declares this in Gita, and yet he asks Arjuna to experiment and be guided by his inner wisdom, not by what he merely hears. What courage, what authority. Only one who is so sure about the truth can say, do not listen to what I say and how I act, but listen to your inner voice of truth born out of your own experience. Krishna says, don't be inactive, do what you need to do. Do it with no expectations and no attachment to result. Do it with a centered mind and in wisdom of your own inner calling and not because of something you have heard. You will then go beyond all suffering and be liberated. These steps are so simple that everyone can practice them. In fact, everyone should practice them. Stay fully in the space of completion and based on the truth of integrity and authenticity, act. You can never go wrong. I promise you that. When you feel integrity is your responsibility, you are in the zone of practice. You are a seeker. When you understand integrity is your right, you are in the zone of enlightenment. Krishna is taking Arjuna on the path of enlightenment through simple steps, initiating him into the tattva of integrity and authenticity. Listen, with integrity, you experience the space of positivity. With authenticity, you experience the space of possibility. Only a man who lives authenticity is a liberated one, a yogi, the one devoted to authenticity in action. Only when you surrender yourself to practice integrity in thinking and authenticity in action, yoga karmastu kaushalam, you will realize that you are responsible for success and failure, for good or bad, for everything you experience. You drop your attachments and your fear patterns and experience self realization. Tada yogam avapsyasi. Follow that complete man. Now, 2.54 to 2.59. Do we start this or my? It is 21 minutes now. Wow.